Hello, welcome back to Talking Rowing with Rory, where we're following the massive adventure of Heather Taylor, who is about to, in months, get on a boat and go all the way, row by herself all the way from California to Hawaii. We're going to be talking a bit about Heather's story today, about who she is and how her life path has led to this moment. But before that, Heather, we're going to check in on the dashboard. So we're introducing the dashboard this month. And away we go. So first of all, do you have a boat?
Yes.
Excellent. I think we can tick that off. How are your fitness levels?
They are what they should be. So I'm doing weights and kind of cardio as it goes. It's really hard to do until you get the boat.
Yes, cool. Okay.
You can use the gym, but...
We'll give that a tick.
Yeah.
Do you have any sponsors?
Yes, so I have 3. ADF Massage is giving me a monthly massage and a check-in. And Main Peak has lent us some clothes, and we're still kind of shaping up what that looks like going forward. And then the Sprout House in the US, who are going to give me a little sprouting thing so I can eat fresh food on the boat.
Excellent. And I love the Canadian pronunciation of Sprout House.
How do you say Sprout House?
Well, I think you say Sprout. Anyway, I can't do a Canadian accent.
Okay.
It's fantastic. How are you feeling?
Seesaw. So exciting. Yeah, it's all going well. And then moments of like, what am I doing?
Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah. So that's the seesaw.
Yeah.
And tell us about your social media presence.
So we have an Instagram account, as I said last time, and I'm not running it, and that's why it's going well. So we have 51 followers. My friend Lisa is the master. Facebook, 255.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. I'm running that one, so that's why there's no growth. And YouTube, we're at 13 subscribers.
Hi, 13 YouTube subscribers. If you want to come around for dinner one night, there's plenty of room. It'd be great to have you guys.
Yes, I think other people are watching, but they haven't hit subscribe yet.
Yeah.
And then 623 email.
Excellent.
People.
Don't forget to take it out of your spam folder. So move it from, in Gmail, drag it across to the main folder. That's what I've done.
Yeah.
Excellent. Cool. Well done. That's a very exciting dashboard. Well, what we wanted to do is hear a little bit, Heather, about who you are, the person that's going to get into this boat and row it across the ocean by yourself, which is this amazing thing. So give us a bit about your basic stats now. Just, tell us about what you do, who you are, where you work, family circumstances and so on.
Yeah. So I'm living in Perth, Australia, and I work for the state government doing emergency management. Was born in Canada in a town called Stouffville, which reads Stouffville, but Stouffville is the name. And yeah, that's kind of where I started off.
Excellent. Let's work out a bit about how you got there. So tell us a bit about, first of all, your background, like who were your parents, how did they meet, tell us a bit about your heritage.
Cool. So I'm in Australia, and that's where my dad started off. So he was born in Albany in WA, lived there, went to Kalgoorlie, and then ended up in Perth with his family. So our garden is my aunt's backyard. And then on the other side of the world was my mum, and she was born in Aden in Yemen at the time when it was a British colony. So her mum came in from the country, they think, and had her, and then left her at the hospital. So she was raised by different missionary families that were there. So a couple ended up playing big roles in her life, and lived there till she was 7, and then went to Ethiopia and attended boarding school there. Ended up in Canada, became a nurse, went back to Ethiopia. And then Dad went to high school here, went to university at UWA, did engineering, and then he sat down with a friend one day after church, and they must have talked about it a bit before, but in this one conversation he tells us they decided that they were going to drive across the Sahara, because he'd always loved deserts, and so they just started to plan and then did it. So they drove down through Europe, spent a bit of time in Burkina Faso with the Elliots, who some people may know.
Yes.
And then drove across and ended up in Ethiopia, where he met Mum. And twisty story there. Eventually they ended up in Canada, and then had us. So I'm the youngest of 3 sisters.
Brilliant.
One's in New Zealand, one's in Canada, and my parents are in Canada, and they're kind of jumping between Australia and Canada. Yeah,
excellent. Wow, that's an amazing background. Yeah. Does your mum talk much about her story, like her life and?
Yeah, she's written it down. I haven't actually read it, but she finally wrote everything down, because we always heard bits and pieces. You're like, I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
So she had a fairly tumultuous childhood, I guess would be the best description, of lots of uncertainty, never knowing where she was going to end up.
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
I guess her story.
Okay, so now that, meanwhile, you're born in Canada. It'd be interesting to hear about your schooling. Like, what did you were you like schoolish? What did you study at university? What was your kind of
Yeah.
educational career?
Well, I went to, where did I go? Stowell Christian School, Orchard Park Primary School, Stowell District Secondary School, which is the only school in the whole district, and the old school, not the new one. And then I went to Queen's University and did engineering and picked geological engineering. I quite liked the massive scale of the environment. Did that. I spent a year in France on exchange, and then in my last year I looked at natural disasters as sort of a final year project, and then I got interested in that, and so I decided to look into that because I had always wanted to do work overseas, but then I have this, I guess, science and engineering, and trying to bring them together is actually, I found quite difficult to bring the two together. Because most work, I guess, as an expat overseas, you end up doing more donor relations or project management, which doesn't interest me that much. So this was, I guess, a field or an area that seemed interesting. So I looked at a few programs, and one was in New Zealand, and so I went there, and I was just supposed to be a master's, and a conversation in the car one day with my aunt, because I'd wanted to do research overseas, which is how I ended up doing a bit of research in Indonesia.
Yep.
And I wanted to spend more time, so I was like, I'll do a PhD. No thought whatsoever into the consequences of that choice. And so that's what I did. And I ended up spending about 7 months in Indonesia, living there and talking to kids about their experiences of disasters. And so I was based in New Zealand in Christchurch, so I went through the second earthquake that they had, which is the more, I guess, impactful one.
Yeah, wow.
That was quite, professionally, it was a really good experience to be, I guess, in a disaster. We did pretty well in terms of the damage, but I know those who didn't. And then after I'd finished, I came to Australia.
Yeah. Excellent, cool. So it seems to me that this project fits into that. So what I'm hearing is a kind of an internationalized life with your parents, Canada, Australia, France, Indonesia, and so on, and a kind of a crossover between someone from a Western background and someone whose mother was in a developing situation. Then you're a woman in science and in disaster relief and so on, and you're about to do this project that, and it's the other thing I think I noticed is someone who has a high degree of independence. Do you think that's true?
I think so, mostly out of forced independence.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't mind. I don't mind doing things on my own, and I'd rather do it than if I'd like to do it with someone, but if they're not going to do it, that means then you can't do it. So I'm just going to do it anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So that's probably how I end up doing things a lot on my own.
Cool. Well, I think it's really exciting, and it's lovely to see those things come together. You said something about enjoying like vast ecosystems, and I think the Pacific is literally the largest.
Biggest one you can get.
Yeah, there you go. Excellent. Now, the big thing you can do, we're going to keep coming back month after month and catching up. The big thing you can do now, if you want to get involved in this project, is to join up on the GoFundMe page. So there's a GoFundMe page up and running. You can see it in the email and on Facebook and all the rest of it. And if you go there, you can participate by supporting Heather and sponsoring her as an individual to go on this big adventure. Yeah.
And so this is sponsorship. And then we'll get into the actual fundraising for the charity. So just, the distinction, but this is actually going to get to the line, which then makes it big enough to attract, I guess, attention for the charity fundraising itself.
Excellent. Important distinction. Thank you.
Yes.
Cool. Great.
Cool.
See you next time.